इन्वेस्टमेंट डेवलपमेंट की तरफ रुख करते हैं। EBIXcash ने IPO के लिए आवेदन कर दिया है और इस IPO के जरिए कंपनी करीब 6,000 करोड़ रुपए जुटाने की योजना बना रही है। IPO को लेकर क्या है कंपनी की पूरी प्लानिंग, इस पर हमारे मैनेजिंग एडिटर निकुंज डालमिया ने EBIXcash के चेयरमैन एंड प्रेसिडेंट रॉबिन रैना से खास बातचीत की। आइए सुनते हैं।
You're planning to go public, and every time when a company goes public, our easy questions, they become hard questions, and our obvious questions are to understand that why are you planning to go public. We'll talk about it, but that's not my first question. My first question is that the brand has now become very symbolic with Indians in terms of the services you handle. So before I get into why you're going public, I want to understand your story. Tell us your story. How did it start? How did you reach here?
Look, I think first of all, you got to take a little bit of a step back. Before EBIXcash became what it is today, we had the brand EBIX in the US, where I basically joined a company, heavily loss-making company in 1999. Stock was trading at around 31 cents. The company had not paid money in 23 years. And since 99 to now, I have a sequential record of 22 years of sequential growth, quarter after quarter of profitability. So when I stepped into India, I just had this simple dream. One, I'm a very patriotic Indian. I wanted to do something which was which connected me with India. I also felt Mr. Modi was talking about Make in India at that time, and I felt I needed to play a role. And then I started looking at what was happening in India in the financial sector. And it occurred to me that everybody was functioning in silos, that there were different functionalities being driven in the area of finance and insurance. And it occurred to me, what if we can bring all these functionalities together? What if we can converge them? What if we can create an airport of sorts? The thing I like to always say is that, you don't choose your airport, you choose your airline.
Yes.
And airline is a product, airport is infrastructure. I'm in the business of creating airports. Now, it takes time to create an airport. It doesn't happen overnight in 3 years. So it occurred to me, how do I build this story up? And how do I organically keep growing it up? And then I started thinking like a capital allocator, a private equity. And I said, what if I can buy many of these businesses? All of these are licensed, regulated businesses in finance. So there's a big barrier to entry. What if I can buy some of these businesses and assimilate them together, centralize all the functionality, centralize all the back-end stuff, and ultimately create a cohesive EBIXcash. And that's what I did. We ended up buying 26 companies, invested upwards of $750 million into India, and centralized virtually everything at the core, and created what is now called EBIXcash, all the functionalities of finance, insurance, fintech, B2C, travel, put all of that together and created a story which was profitable from day one and has continued to be profitable and has consistently kept growing.
Is profitability the obvious and perhaps the most important aspect for you? That was my introduction, that unlike a lot of tech entrepreneurs who believe in growth and they're judged by consumer acquisition, you believe in profitable growth. Why?
That's absolutely true. If I had to choose between profitability and growth, I would choose profitability. I've always been like that. You don't make money just by imagining you're going to make money. You have to have a system, you have to have a process, you have to have a discipline, and you need to have it in your DNA of each and every employee in your company, especially your senior managers, right? And so we came up with a simple mantra. My mantra to my India senior management was, if you're not doing 30% EBITDA in your division, then you're not really successful, was my simple mantra. So we started focusing on this 30%, because I did the same thing in the US in the early days and then grew it to 40% over a period of time. And that mantra has stayed. I always say that there's no shame in making money, right? Sometimes people forget that business is as simple as selling price being a lot more than the cost price. And if we can do that, and after that you just have to create the systems, the processes, and discipline around it. And that's what we did. Look, growth is always required. And we've done quite well in terms of our CAGR growth. At the same time, if I had to choose, and there was a problem on growth because I had to, let's say if I had to subsidize consumers, a lot of people are subsidizing consumers today in India. We refuse to do that. We don't want to just sell for the sake of, we don't want to get growth for the sake of growth. I want profitable growth.
So for those who are burning cash and are saying, look, this is necessary to build the business because this is customer acquisition, how come that thought never occurred to you?
Look, I actually feel they're doing a disservice, a heavy disservice to our younger entrepreneurs. Each and every talk that I gave, I try to, when I'm talking in front of younger entrepreneurs, I'm trying to tell them that, look, business is not about looking for instant fame. What has happened in recent times, people have at times discovered instant fame, instant valuation, and people forget that that's not going to stay for long. Ultimately, you need to show value. You need to show sustained value. If you can't do that, you're going to fall flat on your face. At some point, you know, cows don't fly. You can't keep saying cows will fly one day. If they don't have wings, then they won't fly, and you're going to fall flat. So having said that, today I feel the younger entrepreneurs are in so much of a hurry at times because they feel, look, I'll get private equity associated with me, I'll get a big bank backing me, and I can just show growth, I can subsidize the consumer, or I can go into a business, lose money and grow. And then finally valuation will come in and one day I will start making money. How are you going to suddenly make money if you don't have a business model? How is it going to happen? That's not possible. If your consumer is attracted to you because you were subsidizing the consumer and you said, I'm going to sell you below 10% below the cost price, you're forgetting the consumer is coming to you because you are selling below the cost price. Try it out. Some of these players have tried it.
Yes.
And their business has collapsed. But I don't think that's real business. If you are in real business, you need to first know that you need to make money, right? You need to have I can understand some entrepreneurs who say, look, I'm going to lose money for 2 years, but I have a plan to make money in the third year. Then talk about that plan. Let people understand it. I don't see that sometimes. I see people who have talk for years and you just don't see any way of making money. To me, those are not great stories. I don't want to be part of that kind of paradigm.
You know, there are some companies which are mentioned in the DRHP that we don't know when we'll become profitable. That's part of the DRHP. I'm not getting into which company, but this is something which actually shocks everybody. Just a follow-up question, as an observer, as somebody who understands valuations, as somebody who's built a formidable IT business, tech stocks are down. They're 70 to 80%, both globally and locally. Are you surprised?
Well, I am surprised. At the same time, I do feel that it'll come back in. I think what I have learned over a period of time, I've been doing this 2 decades now, markets have a way of balancing themselves out. Look, we live in a democratic world, right, and capitalist market, and markets will balance themselves out. Ultimately, there's also a learning process hidden in it for each company. There are companies who go learning now. COVID also taught some of them a lesson, right? That they can't just keep burning cash. And if the markets don't support these companies, if there was lesser money behind such companies, they will be more yearning to make profits because they want their share price to do well. So I do believe this will get, there was a NASDAQ bubble in the early days in 99, and a lot of companies from multi-billion-dollar companies became nobodies.
Yes.
And some of them actually learned, and some of them fixed their business models and are still very successful. And the others who didn't learn just collapsed. I do believe something like that will happen, in the coming years. And some of them will collapse, and some of them will learn and become better companies.
As I look at your business has made a comeback. It has made a comeback, arguably what has been the toughest time for your business, travel, Forex. For a large part of last year, that business in a sense was not operational at all. So how come you're growing at a time when world is not normalized?
Well, look, that's where creating airports helps. That is where the diversity of products helps. On one side, we had 3,000 employees basically in the area of travel, Forex, remittance, e-learning, basically almost getting no revenue because of COVID. But on the other side, I had so many other businesses which were thriving. And so that is where your diversity helps. Look, if I'm evaluating an acquisition at times, I will be asking questions like, how much is your recurring revenue? If your recurring revenue is less than 70%, I'm not as interested. I will look at your diversity. What is your customer concentration? If in EBIXcash, My largest client doesn't even account for 1% of my revenues.
It's that diversified.
It is that diversified. And diversity to me is very important. I see sometimes I see good companies with very high profitability, but their customer concentration, there are 10 clients holding 49% of the company, right, as clients. And to me, that's a complete no-no, because that's a big risk. If 2 of them go away, the profitability can just evaporate, right? So to me, building a business with diversity is extremely important. And so that's what helped us through the COVID period.
ठीक है, तो ये एबिक्स कैश की मैनेजमेंट थी जो बता रही थी कि किस तरह से बिज़नेस वो रन कर रहे हैं और उनकी आगे की क्या योजनाएं हो सकती हैं, क्योंकि इनका IPO भी आने